Hello everybody, welcome to this live video. Thanks for tuning in if you are watching this live or if you are watching this as a replay on Facebook or YouTube. Appreciate tuning into this, and if you get something from this, please pass it around. So we have the full moon coming up in Taurus as the sun is in Scorpio, and it is happening on Halloween, which is actually Samhain in the Celtic and pagan traditions. It's a time of harvest, and it's also a time of letting go. When we see in the mythologies of some of the pagans, there's sort of this passing of the torch of the gods ruling over the years, and one god dies and another is reborn, and Samhain is the time of that death. It's the time of that letting go. In Latin America or Mexico and Guatemala, I'm not sure about everywhere else, the Day of the Dead is around this time in early November. So it's a time of really connecting to what we cannot see but is available energetically. Those who have brought us to this point, our ancestors, our loved ones that have passed over, and as well, when we open up to those spirits on the other side, we also open up to all of our supportive guides and allies that are available for connection. So Samhain, Halloween is always that beautiful time to really establish a deeper connection with spirit, and also to let go of anything that may be holding us back on our paths. It's a time where we harvest the seeds that we've sown, and perhaps the ways that we see that we might not have watered our seeds the best or tended to them the best, the ways that we might not have tended to our relationships the best, start to come to the surface and fall away. And that's also kind of in the energy of this moon itself. So the first thing to notice about this moon is that it is conjunct Uranus almost exactly. Uranus is a force of catalyzation. Uranus transforms and revolutionizes anything it touches. Uranus is a sort of unexpected shock. It's also connected to natural disasters. So when we connect with Uranus energy, it's like this big surprise that comes and pulls out the rug beneath us to kind of snap us into a new way of seeing things. The moon being our emotional body, this is a time where we come to an emotional realization of something that may be holding us back, or something that is stifling our own emotional process. Opposite to the moon is the sun in Scorpio, and the sun at this point is conjunct an asteroid Juno. Juno in mythology is the wife of Zeus, and Juno is a very committed wife spending hundreds of years with Zeus, and also an expression of Juno is jealousy. So there may be unexpected jealousy coming to the surface. There may be an invitation for us to commit deeper to our relationships, or to break our commitments within the relationships. Both of those things can come to the surface when there's an aspect connecting to this archetype of Juno. So the sun in Scorpio for this whole period brings us to be very focused on transformation. And Scorpio is all about going deep, being fully transparent, being fully honest with ourselves and each other. So Scorpio season is a really good time that if you haven't been fully letting yourself be seen, or you've been holding something back, you bring it to the light. It's a time to examine your fears as well. If there's something that is kind of creeping in the back of your mind, fears and tensions never really leave until we fully direct our focus into them to see what they're really all about. So it's a very beautiful time for releasing negative beliefs. And remember, negative beliefs disappear when we realize they're not true and we see them as ridiculous. But before we can do that, we have to acknowledge that they're there. And so some of what we may be releasing now can have to do with our relationships. Also conjunct the moon, we have black moon Lilith. So another aspect of the moon that is this sort of more wild feminine archetype that governs our instincts and cycles of gestation. It's kind of the hidden wild woman inside that wants to liberate and explore. So you may find that perhaps one aspect of this moon could be we're seeing where we're not allowing our wildness to come into our relationships or come into our lives in the fullest way. And there's an unexpected revelation that leads us to open and explore that energy. So that's the energy of the moon itself. Are there any other... There's not really any other aspects to the moon or the sun jumping out at me, though we can talk as well about this cardinal cross. So it's not a cross, it's a T-square. So again, astrology has relationships of square, opposition, trine. The T-square is a relationship that's composed of two squares and an opposition. And perhaps the opposition, I can still consider that an opposition. It isn't quite exact, though it's going to be coming into more effect, so I still would consider this part of the moon. Squares are tension. Squares show us when something isn't working and where we have to end certain patterns or change the way we're doing things. So retrograde Mercury is square to Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Those three powerhouse planets have been moving through the sign of Capricorn for months, and they are actually going to complete that transit soon. At least Jupiter and Saturn, the faster moving of the three, will do that. And Mars in retrograde is also a part of this T-square. So Mercury and Mars are opposing each other, and that is going to continue to play out. Mercury retrograde in Libra. The first part of Mercury retrograde was in Scorpio, so inviting us to kind of dive deeper, to investigate and see what's behind some of our patterns or what's hidden, both in personal senses and bigger senses. And Mercury retrograde in Libra is really about cultivating balance. Where do we sabotage harmony in our relationships, and how can we communicate in ways that are more helpful to cultivate that balance? Whereas Mars in Aries is all about getting back in touch with these sort of instinctual aspects of ourselves. Aries is about this compulsive drive, and it's a primal masculine archetype. Mars is the ruling planet of Mars is Aries. The ruling sign of Mars is Aries. So in its own sign, the energy of Mars is amplified, though in 2020, obviously, that ram is just running up into so many obstacles, is coming into contact with tensions and limitations. So to feel our will and also our sexuality stifled by this Mars retrograde is really apparent, and it's important to find, again, harmony on this Aries and Libra axis between our own individual needs, the Aries, and what creates balance in relationships, and being really diligent and precise with our communication so that we don't step on people's toes or that we don't sabotage connections that are really serving us in the moment. So that's the opposition, and usually an opposition can kind of just reveal something, whereas the squares show where there is a deeper tension. And all of these Capricorn planets are all lined up and adding to perhaps one of the last big square rounds that they will make in Capricorn. So the Capricorn energy is very practical and detached and pragmatic, and that sort of aloofness is not always looked upon well by the Libra energy that wants to make things flow. And the planets involved again are Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So again, it's like something is transforming our drive and our will and our individual sense of who we are, and something is transforming and challenging our ability to communicate in harmonious ways. So this is actually one of, again, the last times that this big square battle is happening. So it will almost feel like a relief that once this is over, we might have found those missing keys that bring us forward in order to communicate more honestly and openly and find some true balance. So Mercury stations direct, and now we're going, okay, before I go into the future, let me talk more about this moon specifically. We have an in conjunction between the North Node and Jupiter. So the North Node, again, is our compass guiding us, helping us navigate forward, and Jupiter is our expansion, what causes us to grow. And an in conjunction feels like an awkwardness, a sort of tension that nullifies the energy. So it can almost, and again, these two planets are both about growth, so it can feel as if like some ways that we're growing or attempting to grow are stifling the other ways that we're growing. And it's important to know that this sort of an aspect is transitory, like all are, and that's going to pass. So you may notice where perhaps there's some things in your life that call to you, but they don't line up with other things. And it's an opportunity to really make both sides of the coin work. Okay, looking back at the chart, we do have a beautiful trine. Neptune is showing up in this chart in a harmonizing way. So Neptune trines to the Sun, who's aligned with Juno again, and Neptune also sextiles to all the Capricorn planets. So Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, and this is again a very long-term influence of many years. Neptune in Pisces is a time to expand spiritually, and there's a sort of softness to the Pisces energy that can sometimes create a deep humility. Of course, even that energy has its shadow and its limitation. But with the way that Neptune is showing up now in the chart, it's actually amplifying our ability to make positive connections, positive transformation, and use our dream, our intuition, which Neptune rules, through its aspects to Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, make powerful and strong positive changes. It's also actually making a more direct aspect to Pallas Athene, who's in there with everyone. So, our spiritual aspiration can also come online and tap into this more logical mind that's seeking answers. And the trine to the Sun is just expanding our light. So I would really encourage everyone to use this time of the full moon to set deep intentions of what you're going to transform through these winter months, what you're really willing to let go of. Again, remember that this is a time of harvest, so the energy that we are experiencing now is the result of all that we have done over this past year. And what can we do differently in this next year, as this Samhain time is a certain new beginning in the year. It begins a new year, and the new year doesn't just start, when the 20 whatever number changes. It starts at all these junctures that hold a specific energy, and this energy is all about harvest and transformation. So taking a look more forward at how these energies can play out in the more immediate future, we have Mercury going direct on election day. And in Libra, there can be miscommunications around what is fair and balanced. So my feeling about this is, to be full and clear, is that Joe Biden will win the election, though it might not happen right away. There may be many discrepancies, and it might actually appear as if Trump wins at first because of things happening behind the scenes that are a manipulation. And as Mercury then will go direct, perhaps we can shortly then see that the election was rigged, and there can be a lot of transformation that comes as a result of that. It could also be that Biden wins right away, and that's the result I prefer, and that's kind of what I'm energetically voting for, and that we don't have to go through all of this. But what, you know, a Mercury and a Mars retrograde looks like at election time is very confused results and uncertainty. So don't expect to come to any answers or conclusions very quickly or right away. And Mars goes direct on November 13th, and around the same time, let me look at the exact days here. Around the same time, we will have Jupiter and Pluto conjunct in 22 degrees of Capricorn. And so whatever Jupiter touches, it expands. The exact day is the 11th of November, and Mars goes direct on the 14th of November. So there's a couple days gap in between those points. So again, Pluto in Capricorn is transforming the structures of society, especially those that involve hierarchy, power, and money. And this is a long influence that won't end until 2024. And Jupiter conjunct that 11th of November could be a very potent day, and it will be 11/11/22, so that's interesting as well. That can be a day when something really intense happens related to the shift in powers. And then after that, Mars going direct will be great, because Mars retrograde has been, of course, an informative one, but I've personally felt this energy in a harsh way. That'll be a moment that our drive, our will starts to get back online, and our ability to move forward in certain directions will work better again. And hopefully we'll have learned a lot of lessons about our instinct, our sexuality, and our sense of self, and how we assert boundaries, and when to be more flexible with things. That should be the biggest lesson of this Mars and Aries thing. So that's what we're seeing moving forward, and it's also a beautiful aspect of this November, whilst others are challenging, is to see Venus in Libra in its own sign. When a planet is in its own sign, its energy is more harmonious, and so Venus in Libra allows us to enjoy the folly of life and enjoy socialization and friendly gatherings. And Venus in Libra is in love with love, so it can be a beautiful time for romance, especially noting that the Sun is conjunct Juno a bit after the full moon, so that's might be highlighting our desire for deeper commitment or connection, or if we're in a relationship, it might be showing us where jealousy or other poisons are getting in the way. So it is a time for more beautiful relating and relationship, and I think that just about sums it up for this reading. I wanted to keep it a quick one, as I have so much going on in these moments at this time and trying to fit it all in the smoothest way possible. So I hope you've enjoyed this reading and that it's been supportive for you. And I am doing personal readings. I'm not doing as many sessions as normal, or as I have been this month. I'm actually making myself a little bit less available because I've been kind of overwhelmed. So if you're interested in booking a session, contact me and we can find a time, even if it is postponed a little bit later. Oh, I love you too, Cassandra. That's my sister commenting. How's it going, Cassandra? I hope it's all good. I love you a lot. Best day ever. What was I saying? Readings, blah, blah, blah. Share the video if you've enjoyed this video. Click the share button and pass it around on Facebook or on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube sometime tomorrow. Enjoy the full moon, celebrate it, relish in it, and open your connection to other realms and connect with your ancestors and those who have passed on at this beautiful time, opening the gate for personal transformation and harvest. And enduring this last chapter of 2020, I am of the feeling that 2021 is going to be a lot better. Astrologically, it says so, as we're having this conjunction Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius right after or around an eclipse in December. So there's so much potent alchemy on its way, and I feel like it's going to lead us into a whole new time on the planet. So continue to expect the unexpected and do your best to savor every moment. And I love you, I bless you, and wish you the best day ever whenever you may be viewing this. Catch you next time. Oh, and the live stream channeling is tomorrow at 11 p.m. Guatemala time, or Mountain time. So convert that to your time zones or look on my page to see the more precise time of that. All right, catch you soon. Bye for now.